Okay. Right, you know, from the county, I want to do that.
Are you all right? I'm sorry.
So, I think he's done the same as well. But
No, I attended John's house.
you did? All right. Right.
I chaired it.
Sorry. Right.
You're right.
Thanks. Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry, we're just doing the formality. Right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Plan B committee, Tuesday, 9th of January, for Harpenden Town Council. If I can just reiterate, this meeting is recorded and both verbally and filmed. We will put it on the internet in a few days' time for anybody who wants to look at it. So as long as everybody's happy to be possibly on camera, we'll continue with the meeting. Those of you who can see an agenda, if there is any writing down there, will realise that we as a town council now only look at applications that we can make some comments about. We don't just discuss people changing a window, and we're not experts at conservation area, trees or anything else, so we don't get involved in those anymore. But if I can just go down the agenda, then I'll explain the planning procedure. First of all, discussions.
Yes, Chairman, we have apologies from Councillor Palmer, and she has been substituted by Councillor.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have any declarations of interest? No? Good. Thank you. Right. Are you all happy for me to sign the minutes of the meeting held on the 28th of November? Moving on. That's great. Do we have any public questions? No. Thank you. Right. Before we get on to the going through the applications that we're going to discuss tonight, I'd like to just very quickly. Some of you have heard this before, but I do think it's important that we do reiterate that we, as a town council planning committee, have no power. We make comments on applications that we have before us, but we have no power to influence either the granting or indeed the refusal of any planning application. We're lucky in the town in that respect that we do in fact have a planning committee. Most of the district don't, so we don't actually get two bites of the cherry as such. The ultimate decision is taken by the district council, the planning officers of the district council. If an application causes sufficient concern for a district councillor, they can call it into the committee, which sits on the district council, Plans North, which looks at difficult decisions covering Redbourne, Wheathampstead, St Albans and, Redbourne, Wheathampstead and Harpenden. Plans and Audit Committee sit once a month. I should declare that I am a member of that committee. We have two applications before us tonight that are that have been called in by councillors. One of it concerns most of you here. So I personally will be very reluctant to go into detailed discussion, because I'll have to go through it all again when it comes to the ultimate decision makers at the Plans and Audit Committee in a month or 2 months' time. After that, the decision that's taken then, the only other escape route, if the application is refused, is for the applicant to go to the planning inspectorate in Bristol, who then make a lawful decision, and the only way of overturning that decision is going to judicial review, which is very expensive. So, if anybody wants any help or explanations of it, the Salisbury Avenue group, we've got Mr Goodman, who knows more about planning than I do, but if anybody else needs any clarification on how the system works, I'm always available either by email or phone call, and will always help. Anyway, we'll start with the 2 Salisbury Avenue, as that concerns most of you here tonight. On the wrong page.
Page 17.
Just take that to translate it. Which is reference number 5/2017-3424. The proposal is for a construction of 2 apartment blocks comprising of 11 2-bedroom flats with parking and associated landscaping following demolition of the existing dwelling at 2 Salisbury Avenue. Now we have 2 speakers here tonight. We have Mr Goodman, who's representing the residents, who will speak against it, and then we have Mr Challen, excuse me, pronounce your name right, who will speak in favour of the application. So if Mr Goodman would like to come up and join us at the table here, and you've got your 3 minutes as usual. Thank you.
Before I start, Chairman, I've made copies for members of my speech, so it may help if I start. As I speak. So, Chairman, thank you. We'd be grateful for your support in matters of concern to us. We would initially highlight that the application is invalid for 2 reasons. No plan and elevation drawing of the existing house to be demolished is provided, and throughout the various documents the scheme is described differently. 11 2-bed flats, then 9 3-bed and 2 2-bed flats, and then 7 3-bed and 4 2-bed flats. Which is it? You may wish to raise this with the District Council. In terms of the planning merits of the scheme, there are 8 fundamental concerns. Firstly, adverse impact on the character of the locality and conservation area. The area is almost entirely single-family houses. Those purpose-built flats nearby are pre-conservation area designation. Incursion of new flats westwards from the town centre should be discouraged as out of keeping and detrimental to established character. Secondly, adverse impact on the street scene. Block A, as proposed on the corner of Salisbury Avenue and Rockhampstead, is twice the size of the previously approved new house. It will dominate the corner position in terms of scale and mass. The open nature of the street scene will be compromised. 3 is overdevelopment. Current housing density in the area equates to 20 to 25 dwellings per hectare. The development site, however, will exhibit 55 dwellings per hectare, more than double. Another measure of overdevelopment is the amount of hard surfaced area proposed. This will be 70% of the whole site. The spacious gardens referred to by previous planning inspectors on numerous planning appeals nearby would be lost. Useful amenity space within the site is limited, with only fringe areas proposed. Fourthly is the impact on neighbouring amenity. The depth of Block B will double in length and increase in height by some 2.7 metres. The bulk and form of such a structure abutting the Kirkwick Avenue boundary will dominate and overwhelm numbers 3 and 5 and appear in profile as a rectangular block. Its mass contrasts with the discrete form of local residences. Fifth is overlooking. The study room to flat 8 will directly overlook the garden to number 5 Kirkwick Avenue. Minimum window-to-window distances are not achieved. 6 is loss of light. The applicants have failed to undertake a lighting assessment. Orientation dictates that winter sunlight will be lost to properties in Kirkwick Avenue. 7, undue noise and disturbance. The boundary with number 5 will have the entrance of 6 flats, a combined bin store, a cycle store and a car park. The degree of noise and disturbance will be considerable. And finally, 8 is lack of parking. 23.5 spaces are required to meet standards. Only 12 are proposed. A slight reduction is allowed where, amongst other things, there are low levels of car ownership, good on-street parking capacity and non-family occupation. None of these fit the bill. Overall, Chairman, there are sound and clear-cut planning reasons to object based on non-compliance with policies 69, 70 and 85 of the local plan and the MPPF. Thank you.
Similarly, you've got 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me sort of address the committee this evening. Really what we wanted to do was just sort of go over a few items that we think will have come up through the sort of application process, some of the comments that we've heard today. First of all, I just wanted to look at the sort of character of the conservation area. As with any development, one of the first exercises we carry out is a full appraisal of the St Albans District Council character appraisal. That has influenced the sort of building design. What we've adopted here is a Edwardian style of architecture, trying to replicate the principle of a single dwelling house. So what I mean by that is the sort of primary frontages that everybody can see within the conservation area will replicate that of a single dwelling house, set in landscape gardens, fronting onto the conservation area. The design of the buildings is linked, so it's got 2 building forms. Each block B and block A both have the principle of a single dwelling house linked by a secondary built form. Touched on earlier about landscape. Now, in terms of the landscape amenity that we have on the development site as a whole, is actually double that of what is requested within the St Albans District Council policy. We've also, as part of the application, had an independent heritage consultant review the scheme, and the resulting assessment has been submitted with the application. The report concludes that the impact of the conservation area is neutral to the setting of the Harpenden conservation area and will not be harmful to the significance of the heritage asset. The new development will make a positive contribution to the local character and distinctiveness. It's also important to note that the proposed development will make a positive contribution when compared to the existing house and the consented scheme which sits on the corner site. There are also other examples of apartment developments in and around Harpenden. This is something that is being influenced by, even within the local plan, I believe. It's a need for downsizer markets and also smaller 2/3 bedroom units. These, I should clarify, are 2-bedroom units. And also, as part of the development achieves all appropriate areas of private communal spaces, adequate areas for servicing, on-site parking, ensuring there will be no harm to the highway safety or impact on traffic flow. Spaces between buildings also and off-site also conform, and this demonstrates how we believe the scheme is not overdevelopment. We believe the development is an effective and efficient use of a site within an urban area with very good connectivity to local services, and the density proposed being entirely suitable. The proposed development is a result having taken into account a number of different elements, namely the site constraints, the location, the character of the area, and relevant criteria, policies 69, 70, and advice leaflet number 1 of the adopted local plan. The resultant scheme addresses and works with all these elements individually and collectively, and consequently is appropriate for the size of this location. It is no more dense than other recent schemes, including Harpenden House and the Pegasus Live scheme, which are substantially taller and bulkier than our proposal. When compared to the existing house and the vacant plot, the perception will be that there is an overdevelopment, and we're acutely aware of this. As part of the pre-application process, we were appointed as architects to come up with a design proposal, and we've engaged with St Albans District Council along that journey, but we've also engaged with the local neighbours to try and take on board comments where raised and how we can try and incorporate those within the design. It was noted earlier that the building block B is sort of close to the boundary with number 5 and number 3 Kirkwick Avenue. This is correct in terms of the building position maintains the position of the existing dwelling house, and the portion of the building that is forward of the existing house is a further 4.5 metres away from the boundary. The separation distances from the side of block B to the rear of number 5 Kirkwick is 26 metres away, and we believe this to be a side to back relationship, which is when you look at St Albans District Council policy is 13 metres. We do accept that there are windows on the gable elevation, but the majority of these windows are all obscured, and these are annotated on the submitted drawings. We have 2 windows which are to habitable rooms that were also previously addressed, one of which is at ground level, and one is at first floor, and again both of these windows are obscured by an existing hedge, and the hedge is due to be protected and retained as part of the development. Similarly, we haven't talked much about Block A. Block A also takes on board the principle of a single dwelling house with a sort of secondary side extension. It does exceed all separation distances when considering its relationship to adjoining properties. It is also further screened by an existing and proposed landscape belt which runs along the front of Rothamsted Avenue and Salisbury Avenue. Finally, I'd just like to talk about parking. We believe the site to be a very sustainable location, close to the town centre and other public modes of transport. The site will also be provided with a number of secure cycle storage provisions. And also, market experience in the town provides evidence that single vehicle ownership is typical within this type of unit. I think that's all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'd like to make one comment before we go on. This is one of the applications that has been called into the Plans North Committee, which will be there in, difficult to know a time, it will be 2 or 3 months' time. At that time, similarly, 2 speakers are allowed to speak at the District Council. Mr Goodman will keep his eye on the applications coming through to come to the Plans North Committee. The only comment that I'm going to make, and I'll leave the rest of it to my committee to speak about it, is we did have, the District Council did receive a letter from the police raising serious concern with the parking provision currently shown on this site. They say that they are regularly called out to this immediate vicinity for people with block drives irresponsible parking, if I can call it that way, in this area, and the police did raise concern with this application. We have a copy of the letter here. Although they didn't want to object to it, they have raised serious concern, and I do think this will be material of the way the officers look at the parking provision. So, and that's as far as I'm going to say. I'll leave the rest of my colleagues. Right. Anybody would like to follow up?
So I, in principle, think that this application is very much needs development within our town, and especially because it is two-bedroom apartments, which obviously we have a lack of, and we've been looking to address within our neighbourhood plan. And I also agree with the second gentleman that it is a sustainable location in terms of where it is situated in the town. However, I do also have some concerns that would lead me to not accepting this planning application as it stands today. Those primary are parking. I know in particular I've got family around there who struggle all the time with like parking issues. I am a bit concerned around the slightly on the bulk and mass scale, although not as much as I normally would be. And then also sort of the impact on neighbouring properties, because I think you never know if a hedge is going to be cut down by someone, or and I think you have to sort of assume sort of the way it's laid out would be there without the hedge regardless. But generally, if this application came back with much better improved parking and was potentially slightly smaller, I think it would be a good development on this site. But at this present time, I think this application cannot go forward. And so, although I probably normally be saying it for us concern, I think because the concerns are so great, I think we should recommend refusal.
Councillor Campion?
That was a very eloquent speech, and I must say that I have little to add to it other than to emphasise the size. I mean, my main concerns are parking. Well, my main concern is backing up what the police have already said. I would have to say on this occasion we refuse. But my only grounds that I can find are parking.
I agree with a lot of what Councillor Kelly said. Basic thing is I've got no objection in principle to this type of property development, because there is a big need for 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes in Harpenden. And also it's a great location for anyone who wants to downsize. And that's those are some of the key things in our neighbourhood plan and housing. So we really do have a duty almost to look after people with respect to this property. I too have got concerns over parking, although I think that some developments that have already taken place have limited parking already, so it's kind of needs to be benchmarked. I accept that there's some loss of immunity to neighbouring properties, and one complaint was that they would be viewing a large bare brick wall, and I don't know whether anything architecturally could be done to soften that, actually. I did have some concern about being overlooked by higher windows, and I think that's basically nothing. One thing I wasn't able to study was the refuse collection situation, as to whether there was going to be a problem there with the refuse collection. And I think we might need to have an agreement that anyone who buys one of these states that they've only got one car, and something that will make sure that they don't have more than one vehicle. It's very difficult to put that forward. That's a bad thing. I'm kind of I'm not sure really whether it should be refused, but I can see there's enough concern to refuse it and ask for it to be looked again in a couple of areas. You know, so in principle, it's a good development. It's just really tackling those problems that people have raised.
I think going back to the parking thing, and that's the only one I really want to talk about, is the fact that there is only one visitor space, and the thought that 11 flats would only have one visitor at a weekend.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, even in a sustainable location is questionable.
Yes.
Most other developments have at least 3 or 4 spaces, and indeed the Gleneagle Hotel development was allowed, allocated 2 spaces per similar sized flat.
Yeah.
But that's all I want to say. So
can I just add that I thought the street scene did look okay to me, and I thought tremendous effort had been made to blend it in with other properties. So it doesn't look, because when I first thought block of flats, I thought, but the drawings look quite good to me.
Yeah. I actually completely agree with that as well, that I think there's been a lot of work done to make it fit in. It does look like it could just be 1-2 properties, and also agree sort of the points made around conservation area impact being neutral. I think that's really important because we get it. We talk a lot about getting 1 and 2 beds in Harpenden, but if we can't put them in the centre of, near the centre of town, which is where the conservation area is, it starts being it just makes everything even more difficult. So I agree. I think it would be a very good development if these concerns were addressed. But at the moment, the concerns are a little bit too strong.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, for the chair, are we going to recommend that we recommend refusal because of the parking provision?
Yes.
And its detrimental effect on the neighbourhood because of the parking situation.
Yes. And maybe express some concern at loss of immunity to properties.
But could we also add a note into our recommendation, say something around the committee appreciated this type of application coming forward. This is the type that we are looking forward to seeing in the future, and this, however, the reason we're just to make it reflect a bit more what we said instead of just saying that we're rejecting it wholesale.
Yeah. So to say that we are no objection in principle to the design.
Yes, and appreciate the efforts made to make it blend in with the streets, but the problems are.
But because of the lack of parking provision, we would recommend refusal as the application stands at this moment.
Yes.
So, do you all understand that? We're not anti a development there, and we're not anti. We like the design as being houses rather than a big block. But because of the parking situation it is at the moment, we're using that as our main reason for recommending refusal from our desk, and then we'll see what the officers say in St Albans when it comes to the plans committee in St Albans. Okay, so I'm willing to answer a little question, but I can't go into details for obvious reasons. Mr Goodman probably can help you better than I can. Okay, are you the applicant as well? You understand?
Yeah, indeed. David, is because we weren't aware of the comments made by the police, is that on the district website?
Yes, it is now, yes.
Okay, we'll obviously pick that up and obviously have a look at that.
Obviously, it was a reason immediately that reiterated what neighbours had said. Okay. Sorry, I want to make sure that it's fair in all directions with the limitations that we've got.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
I have been accused on the last meeting that I didn't take it far enough, but no. Okay. I mean, anybody who's welcome to stay. It's an open meeting, but obviously for obvious reasons. You don't
It's like
insist.
we're doing
I try and do it first because I'm courteous.
Thank
You
you very
don't
much.
want to listen to the garage conversions.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much.
I wonder.
We've got a property here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
See you about you. Hope you turn, okay? That's like anything that turns over.
Right, we'll do Whiting's Close now. What page are we on? No, because you recommended okay, so I didn't.
Oh, did you?
This one? Yeah. We're doing page 9, doing Whiting's Close. Bottom page.
Oh, cool.
Just me now.
You look lonely over this.
Sorry, I must admit, I'm just off comment. I used to live in Kirkby Avenue.
Oh, no.
I must admit, I think you summed it up very well. I do think the roof height is interesting because you didn't dwell on the mass. But the street scene roof height is concerning versus neighbouring properties. You know, I'll make that comment. I mean, I know you can't take my comment in.
Unfortunately, because of this development behind us here, we've lost that.
Yeah, no, I know. And also because Stonehurst Court down in Southdown.
Yeah, we're all sport there. Yeah, so we've got to be a little bit
But it is, isn't it?
tactful, you know, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
No, I understand. They shouldn't come with basement parking.
Well, exactly.
It needs basement parking.
At Glen Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs 24 basement parking spaces.
Yeah.
Then it's,
Which they did there. There's 2 spaces of flat there.
yeah, it's proper.
But anyway, I can't dwell on that. I've made my point. That's coming to Plans North eventually. Now, as far as I know, this hasn't been called in, has it, Plans North?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, it wasn't on this. Wasn't yesterday.
Which one are we on now?
No, no.
And then
Right. Anyway. Right. So we're now. All right, team. Yeah. So it's now 5/2017 3381, 2-storey side extension to create 2 one-bedroom flats with associated landscaping and new crossover at 13 Whiting's Close. Just first. I know we have it's the third application here, isn't it? We started off with
We drew the first, yeah. We drew the first very
with
early.
one with the back garden, and then another little one, and then. But anyway, to cut a long story short, we are where we are now, and it wasn't originally on our list to discuss tonight, but because you're here, we'll do it, and we will have
Well, I
discussion.
apologise, that's my error.
No, it's all right, no, we can sort it.
I thought I would come back just for good order, really, to keep you informed in the development of the application. Because, as you said, we withdrew the first one, following comments from yourselves, and because of the correct feeling of the neighbours. The second application actually went through all the way to getting an officer's report. And I thought it would be worth just reconciling what the officer said to what we've now submitted, because effectively what we've done is removed the construction of the property in the garden. And we've left it now with just a single extension development, which will be subdivided into 2 one-bedroom apartments. There were three reasons fundamentally why the officer refused the application. The first one was around overdevelopment and overlooking as a result of the additional bungalow in the rear of the property. The second one was around cramped amenity space, formal amenity spaces being ascribed to the apartment block, and the smaller the required floor area of actually of the apartment. So I think when they had together the smaller floor area internally and the more cramped amenity space, it meant the construction of that was on the limit at best. And then finally something around lack of back protection mitigation strategy, which we also have to do. So we've now submitted that with removing the rear bungalow, and we are simply going with the extension, as we said. There were a number of objections from neighbours, and in particular, if we summarise a number of those, the officer did say we had dealt with adequately, around on-site parking, the access to the rear of the site, which was one of the points I think you in particular wanted to confirm, and that has been confirmed by Highways in this application, in the previous application, and we've not made it smaller. The new crossover access to the existing property, which we've now repositioned because of officer comments, landscaping which we've improved in terms of soft landscaping at the front, and bin storage and provision, and in that actual fact, bin storage has already been approved under comment and consultation on this application, and then drainage concerns. So we've effectively reflected back to a minimum development on site now, and it's got much greater amenity space. Parking's hidden behind the development, and I think very much in line with what the neighbours would expect. So we are creating 5 parking spaces, 2 on the front of the existing house with a new crossover, and 3 at the rear, 2 prescribed and 1 visitor space, and the greater amenity space at the rear. Okay. Thank you.
Now, I have got a copy in front of me. Just ask you one question. I have got a copy in front of me of the officer's report.
Yeah.
But that really you've addressed the concerns that they raised for the reason for refusal.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't know that. Don't read it properly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's dramatically improved from what we. I think all 4 of us were actually here on the first application that came before us, and in fact you withdrew it, didn't you?
We withdrew it because I think the strength of feeling I felt uncomfortable pursuing something that was
Your neighbours were here in number.
Whereas the second application, I think I still felt comfortable was appropriate, but you have to listen to what the officer say.
Indeed.
I think the one thing I'd like to say is how rare it is to have an applicant who's been so open and listened to feedback as much as we have in this case. And actually, I think it's resulted in quite a nice development, which hopefully is beneficial to all parties and the local area as well. So, and there's loads of parking. So yeah, just wanted to.
It's a common subject at this. If you've sat in on it, you'll know that I tear my hair.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that.
No, I mean, as far the system again. As far as we can go, I think our suggestion was on the agenda that we have no objections, provided that the previous reasons refusal have been addressed. And as far as I can read, we have indeed done that.
Thank you very much.
So we're again.
I understand.
Sorry, I still have to read.
No, I understand.
I got my fingers badly burnt at the last committee meeting because the comments that we raised, Joe Public took it as the applicant having cast iron blanche to do exactly what they wanted, which was not true. No. I ended up with 35 emails, which wasn't very pleasant, all over Christmas. And so I'm being very careful now that people understand exactly how far we can go.
Yeah. No, I understand the limitations.
You're lucky, you understand the system because you sat with me, and I try and be as clear as I can be. Because it was unfortunate that because of the timing, your last application didn't get to the committee until August.
Well, no, I think actually the officer. We had a conversation with the officer about it.
It was the councillors. We put your local councillor put the application in two days too late, but to come to committee.
Oh, okay. What, to approve?
Oh, they want to come to committee either approved or refused.
Yeah.
For discussion.
Well, I was told it was refused under delegated.
Yes, that was it. But the council has never got a chance to discuss.
No, I agree with that. Yes.
So it was because the application went in 2 days late.
That could have been a positive thing. It should have been discussed. Your neighbours did ask. But unfortunately, it was a breakdown in communications. I'm not your councillor, so unfortunately, I can't be blamed for that one. But having said that, we ended up with which I think probably would have been the decision anyway. Yeah, definitely.
And that was out of courtesy.
Yeah. I will leave you to.
Okay, thanks so much indeed.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
And for your time. Thank you. Right, thank you. Look, any time anybody turns up, something is actually on the agenda. I don't know. This should be a speaking place. That has to be, and I'm sure you will be your committee, Chris. We have to be a little bit.
No, absolutely.
Because we've got no power. If they're bothered to come. That's what really bothered me about panel. There was no one turned up. So that's our story. Anyway, right. So we go back to where we're going now. So that was the items first at the beginning of the agenda. So now we're moving on to. Unless anybody's got anything else they want to discuss.
I'm sorry, are we missing the one at 13 Roxham Way?
Yeah, that's on A.
Did you want to look at that one?
Oh, sorry, I'm not quite sure how we proceed now we've changed the system. Do we have to ratify that recommendation, or is it just taken?
No, if it doesn't meet the criteria, or Mim's made comments, unless you...
Well, it's recommendation express concern.
Sorry?
Yeah, I think express concern.
3244 is an express concern, so we should make comments, should we not?
You should just make sure that you're happy with my delegation.
Right, yeah.
As you did in the past. And
Yes, yeah.
have you got...
Yeah, I just wanted to say something, because I agree with your comment. I visited the place, and quite interesting, because it's one, it's a semi, from the front, the extension doesn't look too bad, actually. I was a little bit concerned about whether there's any loss of amenity to the house next door, number 15, because they're all ground floor extensions, you know, so they're all, there's quite a large area.
Yeah, see, single story, they
Single
quite
story.
often do it under permitted development.
Yes, so I just wanted to say I agree with Lynn about the lack of parking, because it's 4-bedroom property now, isn't it, as you said? And I think there's only room really for a couple of cars on the front.
Yeah. They're moving the garage, but they'll reduce the parking provision. So although they're keeping the garage, I think they're moving it forward. And then so they'll only have one parking space.
I'll quite easily go with as laid out.
Yeah.
It's just the fact I thought we needed to tick it off rather than pass it by.
I'm very happy to do whatever...
Yeah. I mean, if we just pass over without comment.
I'd rather you just double check my delegation and make sure that you're happy with it.
Well, if he says does not meet the criteria, I'm quite happy to go past.
Yeah,
If it doesn't,
that's what you're supposed to do.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
the next one does not.
Using those rules, we've got 8 Westfield Place as well, when we've got expressed concerns regarding proposed hip gable loft extension.
I'm fine with it.
Once again, as laid out, and that's it. Certainly to emphasise the fact that it's going to be upkeep.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've experienced it elsewhere where it's been missed, and it looks really awful. Thank you.
And then likewise, bottom of the page, 29 Ox Lane, loss of garage, which will reduce the on-site parking.
As laid out.
Next one is end of page 12, which is Clarence House.
Yep.
Page 12, okay. Yes.
And I agree with the recommendation made by
Well, I presume this time they've worked with the officers, because it was straight refused from St Albans earlier on last year.
They've reduced the width and the height, and the roof height as well.
No, they read it. This is locally listed building anyway, so it's the conservation officer will have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Well, there does seem to be some change in the way that they view those now.
Absolutely.
Go there.
If you're all happy with that. And then, moving down to 16 Bowers Way.
Right, recommend no objection provided on 3446.
Sorry, I missed that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
As set out from my point of view.
Yeah.
And then we need to look at Dixon Barsley. I went through and highlighted them.
Well done.
How sure it was Arky?
55 Luton Road?
16 Barsley.
Sorry, we missed that before it.
13.
Going too far. Oh, I know what that is.
Right, so this one...
Now, St Albans has already early on last year, given permission for a part single, part two-storey extensions both sides and rear. Pitch roof and gables. Now they've decided they can't alter the existing house, don't pull it completely down.
Yes, and the reason behind that was that after surveys and so on the foundations, The engineering survey shows that the foundations may not support the extension. So they're saying that they need to pull it down and rebuild this new extension. So with new they've actually got in here.
I mean, they're-
the walls. They've actually got pictures in here of the actual. Yeah, they're showing gaps in the actual foundation. So whether they fill them, I'm not an engineer, so I.
Sometimes it's cheaper to look at down
Yeah.
at it again.
It is, yeah. But so I mean, I believe they're doing the same design. Yes, it is the same design as the permitted development, permitted proposal, sorry. With the.
Well,
They might have been digging the inside, but you never know these things.
I think it's easier to knock it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, I'm knocking around with it
Yeah.
and risk it falling down.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you can put it with modern building techniques.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is one of the problems indicative of that type of property. I won't say specific
Well, they
to
have
that
no
property,
foundations.
so they don't know absolutely.
Just a-
And there was a certain developer who may have built those who is notorious.
No. But,
And unfortunately, that is when it does come to it. If somebody does it properly, it's a go job.
I've got a query. I think my query was if the proposed parking provision was right.
What did they say about parking on the last occasion? If it's still the same, I mean, if it's the same footprint and the same building, I can't see that we can say no.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't.
That's the one permitted.
I mean, we didn't raise anything about parking last time at all.
But it's here, you see, on this false cars.
Oh, right, 4 cars, so
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, not a problem.
Sorry, please.
Sorry, I don't put it on the outside. It's interesting to me because looking at the street scene, I know they've already passed this, but basically I didn't see what they were intending to do that much different to. Yeah, I mean, this looks like they've gone through the rest of the street scene here, and there's a mix of gable and brick roofs as well.
You see, it's well mixed, that street.
It's well mixed.
It's good. You couldn't say that it needed a hit or it didn't need a hit.
No. So I think that, to my mind, it seemed reasonable to go ahead with it.
Yeah.
There's just been expressed concern over the parking, but there isn't that expressed concern when I saw that footprint.
No, no objection.
No, I can't see anything really in the way of things. If it, as long as
No letters of objection?
I think there's something rings a bell. I think
just
it's
something.
the lady that complained about the house being full of people house, but I think they'd already got permission to do the changes anyway.
It has been called in, actually.
has been called.
Oh, no, sorry, I fell a lie. Sorry, it looks like a calling on, that was the memorandum for the community services.
No,
Community services had no
I
change.
didn't see it.
No,
Sorry, it's calling.
Yeah. I would have this.
There's no objection?
No, I don't see any objections.
Subject to complying with the rules in the conservation
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
because I think they need to comply with that materials and all the rest of it. It's something we don't get involved in.
Yeah.
Good, well done, thank you.
Then the next one is the end of page 14, which is Top Street Way. No objections by no community. I don't have any problem with it.
As laid out again for me.
Yeah.
Ends on top of page 15. So are you still looking for the last one then?
Street way. Let's look at that one.
The next one's right at the bottom of page 15, going on to page 16. That's the no objections, and I think we'll get to that anyway.
Right, then we come on to number 16.
So,
Four high
where are
homes.
we? 59 Springfield, or have we gone
So
past
we've
it?
done that
We're
one.
now
Beg your pardon?
on page 16, and we're doing
doing.
Thank you.
3533.
Yeah. So this is 2017-3533, construction of one 4-bedroom dwelling, new crossover to vehicle access and driveway and associated landscaping, resubmission following the withdrawal of previous application, the land to rear of for High Elms.
You've seen that it was withdrawn after we said that.
Well, it was withdrawn because it was 3 stories high, which meant the neighbours all objected to loss of privacy and all the rest of it. The new application has removed the accommodation within the roof and is taking it down from 6 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. Okay?
Can I make one comment on that one?
Sorry?
Sorry if you finished.
I'm just going to say one other thing because it's been called in
Yeah.
to committee. The reason why it's been called in, and it's not obvious from the paperwork that we probably have before us, is that the dwelling at the bottom of the garden, which actually is on Redbourne Lane, is also an infill. It's been there about 20 years.
Yep.
But it is built at the bottom of, it's built in a similar position at the bottom of the garden. So in fact, another house built in the bottom of the garden of the one behind
at the bottom of the bottom garden development.
In the bottom of the garden development. At the moment, they have a whole line of trees, sort of 30-foot high trees, bordering them and protecting the Redbourne Lane house from overlooking from that. The plans as they exist can't, obviously these trees would dominate the proposed new house and the applicant wants to chop them all down. Now this is conservation area, you can't chop a branch down without planning permission.
Even though it says, we have trees.
Yes.
This house we're talking about is the one at the bottom of the garden there. Yeah.
So the bottom of the garden at the bottom of the garden.
Yes.
That's the bottom of the garden,
Yeah.
and this is where the house is going to be built there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now at the moment, she cannot be overlooked.
Yes, I'm with you.
Now, so she's Cedar Lodge,
That looks like overdevelopment to me.
right? So it's a big house for High Elms,
So if you look at
right? Obviously you can come down the side, but the suggestion they've made is those trees at the bottom there need to be cut down just to a hedge. And she's just said, no way, because they'll look straight into her lounge. So that was her concern. The other thing is, they've dropped the roof down very slightly, but our thoughts are, although we can only look at the application before us, halfway through this development, there's going to be an amendment through to put living accommodation in the roof.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that was my point I was wishing to make, is, and a question from that one, because I'm not that experienced in this particular area. Are we, I mean, it could be done under permitted development rights, one would assume.
But the calling...
Are we able to withdraw?
I'm just going forward a bit.
Yeah.
The calling has raised concern about the trees and saying they should remain because it is conservation
Would
area.
totally go with that one.
And I've asked for permitted development rights to be removed for any subsequent living space within the loft. Okay, so that is the call-in as it exists with district. Okay, because that, I think, would alleviate some of the concerns regarding the neighbour at Cedar Lodge. Sorry, please do.
There is the exact words, isn't it? If officers of the committee are minded to approve this application, please could a condition be imposed that removes development in the loft of the proposed development?
Yeah.
So you wrote that, did you?
No, that's...
Oh, that's the... Is that the calling?
Yeah, that's the calling.
Councillor Mrs. Heritage.
Yes.
Hang on, the pillow's not working.
No, I did consult, for obvious reasons. I can't call it something I'm going to discuss. Some councillors do, I don't.
So, can I just understand this a bit more fully then?
All yours.
Right, it's just that if they do not develop in the loft, are we saying there's still a problem because the trees, the trees down, so that will still result in big loss of privacy? So.
Yeah, so we do not want removal of the hedge, the high trees at the hedge, which the current application has asked for.
Yeah.
So I think we need to recommend refusal. Like it looks a bit too much like overdeveloped the site. Like it's very borderline in terms of whether it is or isn't. The tree is really bad, and the neighbouring property. If the trees
Yes,
don't.
I mean they want these trees because you're going to come down the drive. Obviously, the existing house is keeping its garden, and they're going to put this right against the hedge, which is why they want to take the trees. Sorry.
I just raised one more point in support of Councillor Cameron. Is that looking at the highways aspect of it, the highways people have said the house will need appropriate access rights. And it's all very well while this sort of thing's within the family, but looking at the drive in, it's almost into the sort of driveway of the adjoining house, so to speak. So I just worry that we're allowing something that is going to be a need for complexity in future years.
Well, that one's not really and truly a material planning consideration, but, I take the point on that one.
In conservation area or just general?
No, this is general.
Oh, right, so yes.
Where are we going, which one then?
No, in our policy 74,
Yeah.
it says in addition buildings that shall not be sited where they're likely to justify future requests for tree felling.
Or
surgery.
Green safety, excessive shading, nuisance, and structural damage.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well done on that one.
That's great.
Well, that's what's going to happen, is it? Or the person in that house isn't going to realise and they're going to put them down.
Well, it sounds like as part of the development they were intending to do it anyway.
You know,
They've shown their hand.
Yes, exactly.
You can see how much.
I mean, at the moment, the person from Cedar Lodge said she has a certain amount of privacy. All right, her house is an infill. It was 20 years ago. But as she says, this will be completely removed. If you take down the hedges, and indeed, the fear is that they build a 3-storey house.
Yes.
Okay, so can I just add to this? If I'm reading this drawing right, is it that there's only 13.5 metres from the rear of this house to the adjoining house?
That's a garage, a shed or something. I think they've got the extension on the back, which is like a shed or a garage.
Okay.
Right, it's not actually the house.
So they're not lower than the minimum.
No, I think it's a temporary building or an outhouse.
It wouldn't be so bad if this was a much more modest property.
No, this is a huge thing they're trying to build.
It's a huge thing.
It's got 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms.
Yeah, and also it could be pulled forward this way, couldn't it? Or turned around to be right here.
Well, I think there's more of the garden here.
Yeah.
I think we're moving to object. I mean, on 74.
Conservation area.
Overdevelopment.
Yeah. I think that is.
Yeah.
And concerned about the loss of amenities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, the calling will stand its own. It says. We can't say that we're concerned that the builder will put an extra storey on, but we also...
Well, plus we want the removal of permitted development rights.
Well, that's on the calling.
But we can still say it, though.
Can we still say?
Well, I've already put that on.
Yeah.
Condition to no additional
Yeah, no, it is quite important, this, and because it means that no future purchaser can develop a roof space.
Yeah, because it has to be legally there rather than like...
Yeah.
Right. The next...
You all happy with that?
Yeah.
Right.
The next one we need to talk about is
Okay, we can get on to
at the end of page 17.
What's the name of the
Either one.
Which is land to the rear of Bowman Court.
Yeah, fine, I'm there.
I'm
with it. I'm there. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's halfway down.
I did my highlighting and I'm proud of it.
I must admit I was a little bit laxative because I was substituting. I haven't quite got there quick enough. Sort of the land on and then
Right, sorry, I digress. Right, we've done 2 Salisbury Avenue.
End of page 17, land to the rear of Bowman Court. Which then goes into page 19.
Can I just say?
Please, yes.
I think it has been called in by Matt Stevens.
Oh, sorry, I
Land
missed
to
it.
the rear of Bowman Court.
Yeah. Oh, well, in which case then we don't need to... There is mega concern about this one, but it's not my patch, so I didn't really...
Can I just add a couple more?
Please do.
Because I went there to have a look at it. And I couldn't drive down this little narrow driveway because there was a vehicle parked there. It just dumped by somebody there. So
they didn't want you in. They knew you were coming.
My immediate concern was really the whole aspect of access. And I could see all sorts of problems with the people in this house with their car parking. So I felt that there was a huge access problem to this building, actually. I thought it should be refused, actually. But there are also some residents which objections on this one.
We've seen that before, isn't it?
Well, see, I mean, we're looking at the history on here, what we said before. It's just about the same applies again, without going through it word for word. It's not been mitigated, as far as I can see.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. A very similar applications that just come back again.
There are 2 objections. One from a chap called Colin Harris, who says on the company secretary of Coleridge Court, which is intellectual property. He's raised a few points. It's not a garage which is demolished with about a dozen garages. The proposal makes no attempt to do with the points made by the inspector. The problems of car parking in the area remain a critical factor. So, and then the other one is from someone at 10 Beaumont Court. Rejects the proposed planning application on 3 counts. Well, first of all, if this one doesn't really apply, it's just enormous disruption while it's being built. I think we can't.
Well, that's not planning consideration.
But it's the main one is the applicant has restricted the use of parking space at the front of Beaumont Court, insisting the residents therein cannot park for more than 4 hours and cannot return for 24 hours. You can see that in the other document, but they're saying the parking situation is pretty poor. So it's all about parking.
Yeah.
So I just thought there were a lot of concerns.
I would recommend refusal because previous reasons for refusal have not been addressed.
Yep.
Yes.
Hang on.
Yep. It's just taken them like over like 2 years ago.
Is that okay with you? Because if you read St Albans' reason for refusal, it really was all down to parking issues and all the rest of it, and empty space. But
This was like 3. Next one is on page 19 and it's 27 Connaught Road.
Yeah.
yeah, 2017 3525 demolition of existing dwelling and construction of 4-bedroom dwelling with basement, habitable roof accommodation, 27 Cromwell Road.
Is it conservation?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I don't think so. What have we got?
No, just outside the conservation area. Looks like it's...
Can I make
Oh,
a couple of comments?
yeah.
It is.
Right.
Sorry,
I was very-
I don't forget you.
I went down Cornwall Road and I was very surprised to see these two properties because they're in the corner of where it goes around the bend. And they're both quite small properties. And that one there is common, and this is where the current one is on the other side. So in terms of street scene, I didn't see that it was a problem. My only concern was that they tended to share a bit this bit of driveway. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, if you look at that bit,
Yeah.
there, it's a very strange setup there.
Yeah. So,
And I'll,
so my concern was really only access and parking. It's like a
I'll just look at that one.
sort of shared.
Yeah, like the person who's going up.
How many parking spaces have the centre got for an 8-bedroom property?
2 parking spaces I've got for a 4-bedroom dwelling, that's what I've
Yeah,
got.
but it's 4 bedrooms, a basement and a loft.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
What are the sayings in the loft?
Well,
We've got the ones there. Is that the one back there?
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, no, no, that's
The living room and the the living room and the bedroom are both on the ground floor. And then in the
First floor.
in the loft it's saying the
bedroom
four is in the loft.
My two concerns on that one, road development and back to the Hoary one, particularly at that location, parking.
Yeah, sorry. Studio, office and games room.
No.
I'm sorry, no
It is-
bedrooms.
It's, yeah, it's overdevelopment of the site.
Yeah, I can see how something could be or should be put there, but yeah, overdevelopment.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it could be a 6-bedroom. I'm sorry.
Bring in my pocket.
And I went on
Like a parking
not a
provision,
Yeah.
what could be a 6-bedroom in question mark property.
When you actually looked at it on Google, the actual street scene, it was really strange, wasn't it? When you go down there, it's like that. When you put that in, you see that. Makes this one disappear
Yeah, it does, yes.
into
I'm surprised.
obscurity.
Yeah, there was no objection from that property.
No,
I'm surprised.
it's very strange though, isn't it? So, yeah. But no, I
think
don't.
overdevelopment of the site.
Out of keeping.
Out of
Parking.
keeping.
How are we off the parking?
Parking provision with the possibility that there could be 6 bedrooms.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see there, it's double yellow line outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it could be changed to parking, probably, but that road...
I mean, it's not nice what's there.
No, that road originally decided not to go within the parking zone. When it was offered, they went for lining because most of them have got on-street, off-street parking. I can see the reasoning and the rationale by going up.
This
This
one
here, the bungalow.
Yeah, that was the one that's going to build.
Or just the bungalow itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the right-hand one out of the two. And I mean, it's just absolutely going to dwarf it. It's going to make the other one look like garden shed.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it will just disappear, won't it?
Yeah, overbearing, on the neighbouring property. It's just no. I'm sorry, it's a big no.
Sorry, no.
No.
Can I see it from my place? No, I can't. That's all right then. See Cornwall Road, but I'm right the other
I
end.
can see your area.
I'm right down the bottom.
I mean, they're already lost between those two huge
Yeah.
houses.
They are, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they have put. I haven't actually been able to look at it. There is a development behind the little bungalow there at the top end of where they've gone from a similar type of bungalow that's been replaced with a house.
Overdevelopment of the site, overbearing. and lack of parking provision for question mark 6 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And then the final one is from end of page 19 to 5 Mayfield.
Did you say this has been called in?
Which one?
Connaught Road? No.
No,
No, Connaught Road, has it? No, I didn't say it's not on the list.
it was,
The previous one, yeah.
yeah, the previous one, Bowden Court.
Yeah, Dover Court, yeah. I remember discussing that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear, go away.
Right.
Sorry,
You
I
didn't get-
swear my phone is on tremble and somebody just keeps phoning because I haven't answered. Haven't got the hint, I keep turning it off.
Right. Believe it or not, that concludes the list that we are discussing tonight.
Yes.
Sorry, have we done 5 Maple?
5 Mayfield, were you okay with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 Mayfield, oh sorry, yes
Yeah.
indeed, yes.
as set out.
Yeah.
Alright, and just go through the rest of the agenda.
Yep, so back to the page 1. Page 2. Right. We had one letter of rejection, didn't we? We've all had for
Yeah.
2 Salisbury. We've all read that. I know we asked for it to put on the agenda. It's 12 Netherfield Road.
Oh, is it?
It's 12 Netherfield Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
okay.
like the back of my I do that so often. No, 12 Netherfield Road. So far, 4 applications have gone in. 4 have been refused. 2 of which were refused by Plans North. 1 of which, the last one, was 3 voting. And the chairman
Don't tell me.
changed his vote from originally voting for the proposal, changed his vote to vote against the proposal.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem. It's went around the other way.
No. I've done as much for our chair. He saw
Yeah.
the feeling
Yeah.
and changed his
Yeah.
appeal.
Yeah.
So the
Absolutely. That's the right way to do
The
it.
applicant went
Yeah.
straight to Bristol
Yeah. Don't tell me. Got it.
and got refused.
Oh.
So he's done twice.
Yeah.
2 out of 4
Yeah.
applications
Yeah.
have gone to Bristol,
Yeah.
and 2 out of 4 applications have been told no way.
Is it within the gift of the district council to write to him and suggest that should he consider another planning application for this site,
I don't know.
that he has
It
a
is
pre
Mr.
a
Meyer,
pre-consultation?
with no being disrespectful to anybody, I did feel that my plea at the planning committee was vindicated.
Yeah. That's when somebody changes their mind and goes approve.
Yeah,
That
no,
is
it
a
was.
real problem
I
because
must
there's no
admit,
feeling
I
anything.
had a very uncomfortable
Yeah.
few seconds because only 6 of us turned up
Yeah. Oh right. Oops.
out of 8, and therefore it was 3-3, and it was very difficult. But having said that, I didn't feel so bad. Anyway, move forward. Prior notifications.
It's just for noting, then
Oh, they're on the agenda. Yeah, nothing very exciting. List of weekly decisions. We've all read those. Exciting bedtime reading. Application for tree works. And the date of next meeting, Plans North, is on the 22nd of January. It will be a very exciting evening. And Chris's next meeting is on the 30th of January when he chairs Plans A.
Double check diary. 30th of 30th of January. Yes. Good. Because no, I won't say.
Can I thank you, Chris, for returning to Plans
Not
B?
a problem.
It's like you never left.
And thank you very much tonight. And can I wish you all a prosperous new year, and look forward to many things that will happen in 2018.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming to hold your ball game now.
And thank him very much for all the hard work. Looks nice a bit easier for you, now we're doing it on a 3 week cycle, 6 week cycle.